give us a quick motivational word. I don't know that it ever happens to you, Ashley, but in the event there's a day you wake up and you're just not into it, I'm tired, I don't know what, how do you get remotivated?
I just wake up motivated, man.
There you go. That's the word. Stay motivated.
But stay motivated. I think, just go outside and touch some grass.
That's a good word. In the meantime,
the views and opinions expressed by the participants on this show are not necessarily those of Stewart Information Services Corporation, Stewart Title, or Stewart Insurance. Before you make any investment, you should seek the advice of your investment advisor or attorney.
Whether you're a real estate broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, everything matters when it comes to real estate. This is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Stewart Title's Bill Knapik and guests open the door to what really matters in owning, buying, and selling real estate. And now, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance. Here to inform, entertain, and inspire, Bill Knapik.
Welcome to the show. It is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I'm your host, Bill Knapik. Thank you for joining us here today on this wonderful afternoon. It's so exciting. Simply go to stewart.com/radio in case you want to hear and see this show as we make a video with each and every show right there at stewart.com/radio. In addition, you can access the show archives at the website, stewart.com/radio. Once again, thanks for joining us, and let's get down to business as we have a super show, a lot of diversity here in terms of real estate professionals. So we will start with Real Live Realtors. The company is Hudson Realty Partners, and we have Ryan Hudson and Ashley Gibson. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us. Hey, Bill. Thanks for having us.
Let's talk real estate. This is Real Estate Matters. So, first of all, Ryan, let's tell people about your company.
So Hudson Realty Partners is a commercial real estate brokerage headquartered in Conroe, Texas, and we specialize in all asset types, leasing, third-party leasing, sales, and brokerage for our clients.
And right off the bat, Ryan, as people are listening, certainly here in Houston, we know where Conroe is, but if someone's listening outside, I don't know, Indiana, Washington, wherever, let's tell them about Conroe in terms of geographically where it's positioned as far as Houston goes.
Conroe is about 50 miles north of Houston. It's located in Montgomery County, which is the county directly north to Harris County, where Houston is located. So we're just about an hour up the road, and Montgomery County is booming. Our population has doubled in the last decade, and there's a number of cities, neighborhoods, and municipalities that have set records as far as census growth and kind of been named by a number of noteworthy organizations as kind of most desirable places to live. So there's a lot going on in Montgomery County right now.
And also, you have one of the top realtors in all the land sitting right next to you.
That's right.
Ashley Gibson. Ashley.
How did you know, Bill? Who told you?
Well, it is common knowledge right here.
I'm blushing.
It is common knowledge here in all 40,000 realtors that you are right up there in the
They
top.
know my name.
That's right.
No, it's good to be here. We also work in Harris County. We work in all counties around. So we go where you need us. We work with franchises. We're moving a lot of franchises here, so it's been fun to find areas for those people. So we work wherever you need us. So.
Well, of course, we're talking about growth here. It's so phenomenal what's happening in the Conroe area, again, north of the city, and a town and also a county called Montgomery County. Mm-hmm. What is the draw that brings people to those places, Ashley?
Well, Montgomery has really focused on business orientation and keeping taxes low and keeping home prices good. So I think that's a big thing for people. They want to move their businesses where they can thrive, and Conroe's really put an emphasis on business growth. So keeping those taxes at a good rate, making it a great place to live is great for businesses. So I think we said that before, that businesses follow rooftops, and there's rooftops going up everywhere. So it's definitely a great area to move your business to and bring your family to, for sure. We have an outpour from Houston that a lot of these restaurants and business owners are like, hey, where can we go next? And a lot of them are coming to the Woodlands because the Woodlands is a great place to live, and it's got a lot of good high-end shopping and things like that. So they follow the money. So a lot of restaurants from Houston are coming out there. So it's really cool that you can come to those little areas and have the Boss Cat kitchens and the big things that are in Houston that are now coming to our area. So it's been interesting.
We've got some features in Montgomery County too. We've got a 33,000 acre lake called Lake Conroe that people love for recreation. We've got state and national forests for hiking, biking, hunting. That's a big draw for tourism and travel. And then Montgomery County's just got, there's a guy, he used to be the chief economist for the Texas A&M Real Estate Research Center. His name was Mark Dotsauer. And he talks about this thing called the SPA quotient. And it's safety, protection of businesses, and the attitude. And Montgomery County kind of checks the boxes on all of that. It's great for business, proactive law enforcement, just a really proactive development. It's just a really good climate for businesses and commercial real estate.
And you are the broker owner, Ryan. At what point did you decide, I'm sure you started as a real estate professional, realtor, and then at some point you said, wow, I think I want to be a broker and have more responsibility and take more courses and all that. Yeah. What was your inspiration to be a broker?
I was with one of the largest commercial real estate brokerages in the Houston area for a number of years, and I've had my broker's license for a while, but it was only 3 years ago that Ashley and I decided to go start the company. We were working on deals together. Ashley was kind of with a firm that's, kind of focused a little bit more on residential.
He was my mentor. So it kind of worked out as I was at a very predominant residential company, but my heart was always commercial. And so at 22 years old, I was like, I want to be out there with the big boys. Like, I want to do development and commercial real estate. Like, that's what I wanted to do. Ended up having kids, being in construction for 12 years. So I got to dabble in that. And then it brought me back around. And I met him at a Chambers of Commerce event. And it was history. So at that point, I think we both decided that he was at a big brokerage and I was at a residential brokerage. So for me, I just was like, hey, you want to go? You want to go start something? And he's like, I don't know. Like, he wasn't very comfortable, but I drug him out of there. So here we are.
and that's interesting, though, as no matter what profession we're in, whether it's real estate, anything else, when we start and we go back and say, well, how did I get where I'm at?
Yeah.
What are the things that I did to go towards my goal? And then what are the serendipitous things that have happened when I left the house on a given day and went to a particular event? I mean, so many things happen in this big city and other cities as well, but that's exciting to hear that story. We're talking with Ashley Gibson and Ryan Hudson right there at Hudson Realty Partners, doing tremendous work north of the city. But again, Ashley, you go all over the
we go all
the
over.
Houston area.
So wherever you need us, wherever it's growing, wherever my clients call me, I go from Baytown to Beaumont. I'm from Dayton, Texas, so I go Dayton. That area is growing like crazy. So I've got clients kind of all over. So I'm full-time, so I get in my car and I go where my clients need me. So that's the best thing about it. I mean, we're doing developmental properties everywhere. So, I mean, I kind of go wherever, so.
Ashley, I don't know much, but I have a feeling you're strongly motivated. So let's share some of that. Where do you get the motivation, and how do you get so passionate about real estate? Now, we just met a few minutes ago, but we can sense that. I think people listening can sense it too. Tell us where that comes from.
I grew up with a single mom, so she was a hairdresser, and so growing up, like, money wasn't always there. And so for one thing, I said, I want to make sure that, like, I build something for my family and my kids. And so as I got older, I just loved the look of buildings, and I loved watching, like, when some people drive down 45, they're like, ugh, all this growth. Like, when I look at that, I love it. Like, I love growth. I love watching the potential of it. I love watching businesses thrive. And so at a very young age, I was an entrepreneur. And so I think I started my first business at 22 years old. And so had a very successful civil construction company for 12 years. So, I mean, I worked in a man's world. And so for me, it only made sense for me to do what I'm doing now. So I think the drive comes from just wanting better for my children, but for myself too. And being a woman in a man's world is something different. Because I think we have something different to bring to the table. We have different ideas. We have different conversations. We multitask in a multitude of ways. And so I've brought things to tables that sometimes men can't bring to tables. And that's okay. That's why we're different. So I think that's really what makes me different as a broker or, a real estate agent. So that's my drive.
And then, Ryan, how did you get into the real estate world?
I worked in corporate America for about 15 years before I got into the brokerage side of real estate. I worked for Price Waterhouse, and I worked for Entergy, which is a Fortune 500 integrated utility company. And so I was doing well in corporate America. I was a principal to a transactions doing buying investments and just buying my own real estate. And in corporate America, I was traveling 250 nights a year, constantly gone, on call 24/7. And I wanted something different, and I really enjoyed real estate. And I just thought one day I'm going to go and get a real estate license and kind of dabble in that world. And I ended up making a full transition, and I've been doing it ever since.
And as far as the outlook, let's tell people 2025 is almost here. Mm-hmm. So as you have your meetings and talk together and also use resources that are out there, how are you planning for 2025? If you were to speculate, what's the market going to be like? What are you seeing?
We have an election this week. There's a lot of speculation about. There's people that are in a holding pattern, waiting to see the outcome of that. But I'm positive. Texas, as far as economics goes, typically doubles the economic indicators of the country. So Texas is already ahead of the rest of the country. And then you look at places like Montgomery County and Greater Houston, and those markets typically outperform the state. So I'm very bullish for 2025. We've got a number of clients that have projects teed up.
We're up. People are still opening businesses left and right. My retail clients are going crazy. So at the end of the day, we don't see a slowdown in that. Our developmental properties are doing well. So we've got neighborhoods left and right buying property. We just went into contract on one, 100-acre property that they're developing, and so people are still out there doing it. So I think people are more scared than anything, but it's happening. And I can see a slowdown in residential, but commercial hasn't slowed down for us. And so do have some of our clients pulling back a little bit and going, hey, let me see what the forecast looks like. But for the most part, businesses are still booming and they're still doing it.
So you're helping people with residential and commercial properties, buyers and sellers alike.
Yes.
So that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
As far as outside of Houston, Ryan, Ashley, are people reaching out to you from other states where they want to come in? Is that still going on? Does that go on in your company?
Yes. So we do social media, a lot of social media. So you can literally follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and all of it's Hudson Realty Partners. And so we've got clients from all over watching our YouTubes, calling us from California, New York, Austin. We're all over and we're widespread. So we have people. I have a franchise that called me from Florida, and they were like, hey, I own these sandwich shops, I own this, we want to open a Pilates place. And so I really am big in the beauty industry. And so I do a ton of salons. I do salons all over the United States. And so I work with a really close friend of mine that has a coaching business. And so even if I have a client that wants a salon in New York, I basically outsource a CCIM in New York for her. And so we're really a full-oriented business, and we have relationships with a lot of agents. So
you actually put a YouTube video out there or a Facebook, and people see you far and wide. From afar, and they may call up and say,
yeah, they're
hey,
like, I love her personality. I'm hiring her. That's what happens.
Of course they do.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Already you are in the hearts of the listeners. I could tell. I'm feeling it. So before we close this segment, Ryan, what else do you want people to know?
We love doing deals. We do our own deals. I think one of the things that separates us is, Ashley and I own our own real estate. So when we're doing a deal, we're wearing the hat of an owner. If this was our property and we were acquiring it or dispositioning it, what would we do? So being able to empathize and put yourself in your client's shoes is just so important.
Imperative. Very
Super awesome. And Ashley, what else do you want people to know?
Hire me.
Hire Ashley. And let's give them the number, Ashley.
281-881-8959. Ashley at Hudson Realty Partners. 281-881-8959.
And how can people reach you, Ryan?
My phone number is 936-270-1024. 936-270-1024.
And Hudson is spelled Hutson. Thank you, Ashley and Ryan.
Thank you.
Great to be here. Thank you.
As we continue, let's talk to Amanda Wilkie. Her company is Survey One. Amanda, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
Well, we are delighted to have you here today in 542 shows. That's right. This is show 542. We have never had someone with a survey company. So Survey One, you're right here. Let's tell people, first of all, Amanda, about your company, Survey One.
Yes. So Survey One, we are a family-owned business based in Alvin, Texas. We were founded in 2002. The owner of our company, Leon, though, has been surveying the Houston area since 1987. So he kind of knows his stuff.
As we talk, he might be out there right now surveying. Who knows?
Yes, he probably is.
Well, I hear once you start surveying, you can't stop. It's a tremendous thing.
That's right.
Well, let's tell people, I think there's at least for me, the survey, there's a mysterious aspect to it. Okay, so when we're buying a house, how do we know if we need a survey? Do we need a new survey? Let's say a lot of times the person has a survey selling it. So give us the scoop on when do we need a survey and when do we need a new survey in a real estate transaction?
Well, I'm going to tell you that you should get a new survey pretty much on every real estate transaction.
Let's repeat that.
I'm going to say that you should get a new survey on every real estate transaction. It's very common in a real estate transaction to utilize the seller's existing survey. So how that works is a seller provides their survey that they had on their property. They'll sign a form that's called a T47, where they certify that there has not been any changes to the property since that survey was done. The problem with that is if there has been changes to the property since that original survey was done, if the buyer utilizes that seller's survey, they pretty much have no recourse if something is wrong on that survey because the survey is not done in the new homeowner's name. They're using the previous survey that was done for the seller. So I like to say, look at a survey as like an insurance policy. When you get a new survey, we're basically insuring your boundaries, your building lines, your easements. You're going to have a brand new survey that outlines all of that. So that way you'll know exactly where your boundary lines are. And if there's any problems like encroachments, sometimes you'll see that where your land can encroach on the neighbor's land. Or fences. Fencing is we see that a lot. Someone gets a new survey, they find out that the neighbor's fence is on their property line. All of that can be handled by getting a new survey.
So then what you're saying is if I buy a property, and there may very well be a fence on this property or something, so as I'm buying it, I better get a survey so that up front, before I close on the real estate transaction, the survey is going to say, well, that fence is where it's supposed to be or it's not. Wouldn't that be a good thing to do?
Yes. Yeah. You would absolutely want to know that when you're purchasing the home because the last thing you want to do is want to have to get in a fight with your new neighbor, right?
Well, exactly. And then also fences are not that easy to take down.
No.
And you have me and probably others listening wondering that, hey, they're looking at their fence right now. Is it too far? Is it just right or whatever? So, yeah, the survey is very important. And how do they go about? Because you showed me before we started talking actually the way a survey looks. And I think people listening have an idea what it looks like. And there's lines and different things on there. But when your people at Survey One do the survey, what are the things they do to be able to be definitive and put the lines where they're supposed to be?
So the way the process works is we have field crews that go out to the property that do the measurements. A lot of the measurements are based off of steel rods that are actually placed into the ground pretty much for every property. So the field crew will go out and do their measurements, and then they provide that to our office. Our office has drafters that will then take that information up and draft it onto a computer screen to where it comes out with this pretty drawing of the, any structures on the property. If there's, any pools, fencing, it's going to pretty much show everything that's on the property, along with your boundaries and your building lines, most importantly, to show that, make sure that the home was built within the building line. Pools or any kind of permanent structures, we need to make sure that those were built within the correct building lines. So that survey is really going to, it's going to show you everything you need to know about your property, your boundaries of the property, the building lines all around. Another important thing is utility easements. because not a lot of people know that most properties in the Houston and surrounding areas have utility easements that run a lot of times on the sides and the front and back of the property. And utility easements are for utility companies to access pretty much at any time. So you always want to make sure that you don't build anything permanent within those utility easements. So there's a lot of things to consider when purchasing a property and the land, because you've got to make sure that any kind of changes that you make to the property, it's going to follow those building lines and the easements.
We're talking with Amanda Wilkie with Survey One. Amanda, as people are listening, there's probably other survey companies out there here in the Houston area. What are the distinctions of Survey One? Because I know you do a fantastic job. We hear about you all the time.
Yes. So Survey One, we're very competitive on our pricing. Our basic lot and block starts off at $450, which is pretty much the cheapest survey you can get in the Houston area. Our turn times are 3 to 5 business days. We're very competitive on our bigger tracts of land. We do residential, commercial, and land. One of the biggest things that sets our company apart is we have great customer service. If you call our office, you don't get an automated phone system. You're going to have someone answer the phone that's going to help you. But most importantly, we have a marketing team that works the whole Houston area, and we personally deliver these pretty laminated copies for your closing. We deliver those to every title company, so that way you have your laminated copy on time for your closing. And we like to do the pretty laminated copy, so that way hopefully the homeowner will hold on to them. It doesn't always happen, but it does when you're closing and you have that big stack of paperwork. The survey is one of those important documents that you definitely want to make sure you hold on and kind of put to the side. So that's why we like the laminated copies.
They're beautiful. And
Yes.
I just held it up to the YouTube camera. So as people are listening, certainly here in the Houston area, geographically, you're covering the residential, the commercial, the large tracts of land, which I want to talk about here if we have a minute. Geographically, what is the area that you're serving as people hear the show?
So we service all of Harris County along with the surrounding counties. So on the north side, we'll do Waller County, Montgomery, and Liberty.
So you can go to Conroe?
Absolutely. We do all of Montgomery County. It's growing. Everyone's moving to Montgomery. So, of course, we're definitely in Montgomery County. We'll do Liberty County, Chambers. We do Galveston. We'll do all of Galveston except for Bolivar. Brazoria, Fort Bend. Yeah, and that's it. So
A lot of areas there.
Yes.
As far as surveying, and when you look at the business, I guess the team's pretty busy right now.
Yes.
Does it ever slow down in the surveying business?
So right now it has been a little slower than I think a lot of us want it to be. I think a lot of that has to do with election. It happens every 4 years. So I'm really anticipating that after election and in 2025, I believe we are going to have a great real estate year.
And then other than being here on the show today talking to so many people, what are the things that you do from a marketing standpoint with your company to get the word out?
So I am constantly meeting with title companies all across Houston.
What's your favorite title company?
Stewart Title.
I thought you were going to
Yes.
say that.
And
love
we
that.
work with all of them all around Houston. Not only do we work with them, but we do work with pretty much every title company across Houston. I also talk to a lot of realtors and lenders. I'm educating them to let them know that you do have a say-so when it comes to the survey. You, as a realtor or lender, you can let the title company know, hey, when it comes time to order the survey, can you please make sure you get a quote from Survey One? And they'll be more than happy to get a quote from us.
And I would think, too, if someone's in the process of buying a home and they're in the real estate transaction and the realtor says, well, they didn't have a survey or they have this old one we found, in the woods or something, the person buying it could call your company as well and say, hey, I want Survey One right here on the job.
Absolutely. Yes, they could call me directly and I can help them place their order. We can have a crew out to their house within the next day.
Well, before the show, I knew you were going to be on, and I thought about surveyors. And I remember reading a book about George Washington. Now, he was before going into this in the military, he was an avid surveyor. He loved surveying all the grounds around Mount Vernon, all the areas of Virginia, and even the few days up to his death, which was December 14th, 17 something. before he got sick, he was out riding his horse, surveying the property all around Mount Vernon there, and then he caught a cold, and he went in, and he had wet clothes on that he didn't take off, got a sore throat, and then it was infected, and that's it.
Really?
But he loved surveying was the main part of the story. George
I love
Washington.
surveying too.
Well, I bet we have some people, some youngsters out there listening that say, hey, Mom, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a surveyor.
Yeah.
And maybe get a job at Survey One.
Absolutely.
Well, Amanda, now that we covered that, a little history lesson, and I think that's fascinating. George, there's so much great.
So if you are in need of a survey and you're in a real estate transaction, the best way to go about that is to let the title company that you're working with know that you would like to get a quote from Survey One. If you are an individual homeowner and you need help with a survey, maybe you're looking to put a pool in, maybe new fencing, a generator. Generators are real big right now. And you need a survey.
So you would need a survey if I put in a generator?
Yes, sir, because
Okay.
it's built on a concrete pad.
Okay.
That's permanent.
Good to know.
So if you're an individual homeowner and you need help with a survey, I can help you directly with that. You can just give me a call or a text, 832-689-9669. Again, 832-689-9669. And my email is amanda@survey1inc.com. amanda@survey1inc.com.
And the website is?
survey1inc.com.
Thank you so much, Amanda Wilkie,
Thank you.
the first survey company on the show.
I'm honored.
It's time to talk to Rick Gutierrez and Natasha Suri. The company is XAG Properties. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you for having us.
Good to see you. Well, Rick, let's tell people, first of all, about your company, XAG Properties.
Okay. XAG Properties is a full-service commercial real estate company. We do tenant representation, landlord representation, investment sales, and we work with XAG Group, which is the development arm.
Primarily, if not exclusively, you're in the commercial real estate
Correct.
world. Well, and it's always great because we don't have a lot of talk about commercial real estate, but that's why we wanted to have you on to give us an idea of what's going on in the commercial world because it's different, but it goes hand in hand with residential. Let's tell people about that connection of what you do in the commercial world as it relates to homes being bought and sold.
Well, we also develop retail centers around the rooftops. As Ashley mentioned, we develop retail centers where the home builders are coming.
And what are the centers going to have when you build them? What type of businesses?
We hope to have a coffee shop, maybe even a beauty salon.
Well,
Restaurants.
I'll be right there for the hair salon as soon as that comes around. And then here comes Natasha Suri. You are the leasing and sales associate. Let's tell people what you're doing in that role, Natasha.
So I'm helping people that have small businesses and even people that have many, many businesses find their perfect home where they can make money, be successful, and serve a community. We like to find tenants that are very intentional for our developments. We don't want our centers to look like everybody else's center. We want things that the community actually will use and need. And then we're very picky on the brands and the different, I would say, types of businesses that we bring in, because every center has started to kind of look the same in Houston. So we're trying to get away from that and have things that they actually need and will use.
Well, one of the things we know, certainly here at our company, Stewart Title, and the realtors that we talk to, we have a feel, and I think the listeners do too, we have a feel for how realtors, Natasha, find buyers and potential buyers and sellers, and even when they have referrals and so forth. But in the world of the commercial quest that you're in, how do you find these people to put in the centers or that are going to be interested in leasing a space in one of these centers? How does that work?
So for me personally, my journey is a little different compared to a lot of realtors. I was an entrepreneur turned realtor. I've only been in commercial real estate for approaching 3 years. Almost every single one of my friends is an entrepreneur, so that became helpful. After my divorce, I started a company after my children that was for consulting and event management. And I kept hearing over and over again that your personality and your network is perfect for the commercial real estate. You can place tenants very easily based on your circle of friends and the fact that you understand what it takes to make a decision as far as a commercial lease goes.
So then as far as finding the the different businesses, whether it's a coffee shop or a beauty salon or dry cleaners, I guess even are part of the potentials. But how do you find them? I mean, there's people that you already know, but do you also go out and market to find out the new people you don't know? How do you do that?
So yeah, definitely. Everything good is from intention. So if we want, like, let's say we want a cookie shop or we want a dry cleaner on
That's
the corner.
what I want right about now.
So what we do is, I'm also a mind
Cookies,
reader.
yeah.
So, what we do is we'll find maybe a tenant that's doing well in the surrounding area, because people usually, when they build their radius around their business, they want to be, it's more beneficial from an entrepreneurial standpoint. Once you get to 3 stores, you can now move employees around. So usually people, what they do is they build a radius around their first store. So what I like to do is say, hey, you know what? They're really killing it in Katy. I bet they could move to Fulshire easily.
So let's say, I'm just thinking out loud here, let's say I had a belt buckle store. I don't know, just as an idea. So I have a store, I'm selling these things, and I find out about you. What's the process if I say, okay, I hear you have this center at a given area, and I want to be a tenant and open up my shop? How does that work? Because we know, again, going back to the example of residential real estate, I think we all bought homes and stuff, so we know a little bit about the process. But if I just opened up a new business and want to rent a spot, how do I work that with you? How does the steps go?
That's a great question,
I
Bill.
know it is, yeah. Isn't that great?
So basically,
belt buckles.
Belt buckles. I think Bill has a dream. So basically,
Yeah, I'm a big
yeehaw.
thinker.
I mean, this would be the place to do it, right? So, and I'll buy a belt buckle if you open a store.
Thank you.
But anyways, basically what we do is make sure that you're going to be successful financially. We're going to look at your numbers. Underwriting has to do with making sure that your numbers are sound. So if you have a store, and I don't know what the profit margins are on belt buckles.
50%.
So let's say that our rent had to be this percent to that percent. Usually I'll have like some sort of parameter of what we want to spend on the rent portion of their expenses, and then we'll go from there.
Well, it's interesting, and this doesn't have anything to do with real estate, but it does have to do, I've read it this morning, about someone that's an entrepreneur starting out, and they just started with a small business trying to get into Costco, and one of the things, they had certain steps like we're talking about. So there are a lot of people out there still in this 2024, soon 2025, that are entrepreneurs that need to have a place for their business to sell whatever they're selling. So, Rick, let's tell people there's some things as you're out there in the developments. Someone might be listening and say, well, where are the developments that XAG has, XAG properties that might be interested in? Where are you here in the Houston area?
We're developing actually in Magnolia, Texas. We're breaking ground first quarter of next year.
Magnolia, Texas, so that once again, for people that are listening, it's on the west side. It's a very active area. So you're going to be breaking ground. What's the process of something like that where you're going to have a center soon in Magnolia?
We're going to have a retail center there. It's going to be 2-story, 30,000 square foot retail center. First quarter of next year, we'll be delivering space for the tenants. We work with a master plan community developer in a certain area, and he focuses on certain areas that we focus on to find a retail section, and we develop that portion for the tenants who want to come to that area. And then obviously the rooftops also are going to be in the area.
So then at first you have to, somebody does a study, I would think, to know that there's enough potential business there to build the center and then thus have the various stores or shops.
That's correct. What I really do is focus on helping those landlords who have a vacant center that need to help bring in some new tenants to that retail center so we can get it fully stabilized and sold and take it to the market. That's kind of what I focus on.
So then right now, are there vacant centers or some that are partially vacant that you're working with?
Yes, there are a couple vacant centers I'm working with some investors right now. The goal is to get it fully stabilized, as I mentioned, and then we can get it fully leased and sold, hopefully sometime next quarter or maybe next year, actually.
So when you say fully stabilized,
meaning there's some vacancies right now. They're below market rent.
So then right now in the world of commercial, just generally speaking, commercial real estate, what's the market like? Is it a buyer's or a seller's market, generally speaking, in this Houston area?
There's a lot of buyers out there who want to buy property. We're just trying to find a value add for them. And from what I'm seeing, there's going to be some future value add next year. Depending on the election, we'll see what happens. But there's going to be a lot more restaurants available, second-gen restaurants available next year, in my opinion.
Of course, they say the restaurant business is one of the toughest.
It's very competitive. Yeah, and they're paying crazy rents right now, which is it's hard to imagine them surviving beyond next year, to be honest.
So right now, if I want to open a restaurant, that's going to be tough.
I mean, it's hard to find second generation right now. Now, a lot of people want second generation restaurants basically to save money on a build out. So they kind of mitigate the risk a little bit. But they're still paying higher rent. You really can't negotiate on a second gen restaurant in a prime location.
So Natasha, are you running into people, are you bringing people that are restaurateurs into some of these centers?
Yeah, definitely. I think that there was an oversaturation of the restaurant market, like after COVID, because everybody wanted to go out of the house. So you saw way too many restaurants open, and then they should have never paid that rent. Never. Okay.
You're saying the rent was high.
Yeah. I mean, I'm Indian. I'm uncomfortable when I read some of these rents. I'm like, why would you sign that? Because the profit margin on food and beverage is generally 10 to 15%. People don't know that. I know that. I've done to me, real estate compared to the restaurant business is a piece of cake. Like, I talk for a living now. So I think that people prematurely signed these leases. And now if I was to say, if you are a restaurant group, hang on tight, because these landlords are going to be desperate soon. And that's if I was to look into a crystal globe, just based on restaurants and just restaurants, I would say second gen space is about to rain from the sky. I really believe that.
Okay.
And I think that if you have an intention and you have a vision, in the next 2 years, you can own probably 10 times more than you could 5 years ago.
Well, Natasha, before we close this segment, what else do you want people to know?
Well, I'm an entrepreneur turned realtor, so I think like an owner. Treat people how you'd like to be treated, and the best way to do that is through experience. I don't look at real estate like everybody else. I will not show you real estate that I wouldn't sign on, because I know how business works, and it always comes down to the numbers. And what makes anything better or worse is intelligence. I work really, really hard. I only know how to work really, really hard. So now that I'm a realtor, I'm a perfectionist. So anyways, point being, I would love to help you find the perfect space for your business. We only win when everybody wins. I'm not signing on businesses that are gonna, let landlords down. I want you to find your forever home, and I want you to be profitable, because then you'll open another one, and I'll be right here waiting.
And how can people reach you?
281-546-7625. And you can also find me at The Real Natasha Suri on Instagram. 281-546-7625.
And Rick, how can people reach you?
Cell phone is 832-435-4033.
And thank you guys for being with us, Rick and Natasha.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
In today's litigious society, it is imperative to have the proper insurance to offset the many risks facing your business, especially if you're a real estate broker. Your errors and omissions and cyber liability insurance can help limit the threat of these risks if you know what to look for. Not sure if your insurance addresses the risks facing your business? Contact Stewart Insurance to be confident your brokerage can withstand these risks. Stewart Insurance, 866-798-2827. StewartInsurance.com. That's StewartInsurance.com, or call 866-798-2827.
Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title would not be possible without our partner Stewart Insurance, with a focus in real estate and a special focus on real estate brokers. Stewart Insurance creates insurance plans to address the risks facing our industry today. They invest a significant amount of time helping real estate broker owners offset and manage their risks. Here he is once again, John Bramlett with Stewart Insurance.
Hey, Bill.
John,
nice to see you.
It's good to see you. Here we are.
Always a pleasure.
Insurance time once again.
Fantastic. It's always the highlight of the show.
People love insurance. I mean, we there were people that started listening to the show that, I'm not really crazy about insurance, but now they are after hearing this segment over and over. So what do you have for us today, John?
Well, in our Property Insurance Essentials for Real Estate Professionals class, we look at 6 different types of property, and based upon how that property is being used determines what potential coverage should be considered. And one of the ones that we talk about is if somebody's doing construction or reconstruction, and builder's risk would be the coverage that comes into play. And we're seeing a greater interest in the builder's risk coverage. So that's what I wanted to talk about today.
That's right. We have to know how the property is being used, because sometimes we think, okay, I bought a house, I'm living in the house. That's just one of the many ways that insurance classifies the usage.
Absolutely. So if you're doing new construction, or if you're remodeling, or you're doing some significant installations, that's where a builder's risk plan would come into play. So make sure that you're covered on things like materials, fixtures, equipment, so that during that process, and it's good to get that coverage before the process begins, but during that process, having that builder's risk coverage.
I wonder if there's people that don't even think to have the builder's risk coverage. I mean, I don't know if the contractor tells them when they're going to embark on this addition or whatever improvements, but I wouldn't normally think of that.
No, and I think you might think of it a bit more if you were, for example, if you were building your own home and you were going to act as the general contractor. That might make sense you might think about it, but if you were adding on a kitchen or doing a significant remodel on the house, you may not think about it. But what happens if the if there's a damage to the property, or the materials are stolen, or if maybe the materials are damaged in transit? How do you handle that if there's a fire or there's lightning or wind that does damage and you don't have the coverage? Now you're responsible for that replacement cost.
So there you go. It's nice to know that Stewart Insurance has a plan, an insurance way to go to help you offset your risk.
Well, and we do, and we're seeing, as we see more and more people in the real estate world that are getting into investment properties, and in many times on those investment properties, improvements are needed or improvements are desired, or if somebody is going to improve a home and then sell it, again, we're seeing more and more of that, and that's where, again, being able to have that builder's risk, that coverage, or the builder's risk coverage, can really be of value to that individual or that group that's either building a new home or in many cases remodeling.
No doubt about it. People are buying homes in all conditions, and especially the realtors we talk to, a lot of them have their own business outside of helping buyers and sellers. They're buying properties, they're improving all those things you're mentioning.
Yeah, we're seeing more and more folks getting into that real estate world, not only to be a realtor or to be a broker, but also because they've become investors. And then they felt like that it would be beneficial to have that license as well. So when you're in that process of either upgrading a home or building a home, having that protection of that total project, having protection of the materials, having protection of any potential damage can be a great peace of mind.
No doubt. And, I heard George Washington was big on real estate too. Not just Mount Vernon, but he had other holdings.
Well, when he built Mount Vernon, he had a builder's risk policy through Stewart Insurance.
No doubt about it.
Yes.
In fact, that was one of the first ones. We have that in our Stewart Insurance Museum.
Absolutely. We have that policy from George Washington, written by Stewart Insurance. That's correct.
It's funny when we laugh at our own jokes. I like that. That's one of my favorite parts of the show.
Well, at least somebody does.
Exactly. So that is awesome. But we learned so much on this show. And so here we go. It's important to know. And that's just one of the many things you're helping people with at Stewart Insurance. Just
well, it
that
is.
one plan.
I mean, we're fortunate enough that we can work with clients all over the U.S. And we work with both families and individuals on their personal insurance, as well as real estate businesses on their business insurance. So home, wind, auto, flood, investment property coverage. And then for businesses on their errors and omissions, cyber liability, general liability, workers' compensation, we can help them with their business insurance.
And as you started, you said talking about teaching classes. You're available to help real estate professionals and others as you bring forth many classes as well.
Absolutely. So we we teach a lot of classes through the Stewart Title offices. We also teach classes online as a partnership with the Houston Association of Realtors. And then many times I'll go work with lenders or with brokers themselves and teach classes at their offices.
Well, what are some of the other things we should know?
Well, if you do have an interest in a class, we've got 3 that we offer. The 2 sides of water, where we look at water damage 2 different ways. We look at it from a flood perspective. What is the definition of a flood? And then the 2 different types of flood coverages that are available. And then we look at water damage from inside the home. What are the 4 types of water damage that are inside the home that could be covered by home insurance, as well as things like how the insurance is going to be priced based upon, is it actual cash value versus replacement cost? Is it named perils versus an all perils plan? So that's a 2-hour class. The property insurance essentials class that I mentioned, where we look at the 6 different types of property, and based upon how that property is being used, will drive what the coverage should be. And then we have a 3-hour class called Real Estate Liability, Reduce Your Risk and Protect Your License. There we spend a lot of time talking about what risk and exposure are, ways that we can minimize risk and offset that exposure. We look at 8 risks that realtors face on a daily basis and have a lot of interactive conversation in and around that. And then through 2 case studies, we look at 7 ways that you can minimize those risks. And at the end, we talk a bit about offsetting exposure, looking at errors and omissions coverage, cyber liability coverage, and general liability coverage.
What else should people know?
Well, if they'd like to be properly insured, and all that means is that you're comfortable with the coverage you have, whether it be the most robust plan there is or a very conservative plan, as long as you're comfortable with what that coverage is, then in our eyes that you're properly insured. And we would love to be able to have the opportunity, whether you be an individual, a family, or a real estate business, to help with that.
And you mentioned it when we started, but I want to embellish that you are there. Stewart Insurance is there not just here in Houston, Texas to help people, but if you're listening on the internet, I don't know, California, Washington State, wherever, you're helping people all over the states.
Yeah, we work with individuals and real estate businesses all over the U.S.
If someone wants to reach out to you, John, at Stewart Insurance, what should they do?
They can call us at 866-798-2827. That's 866-798-2827. They can learn more about us at stewartinsurance.com, or they can email us at stewartinsurance@stewart.com.
The phone number again is
866-798-2827.
Thank you so much, John Bramlett.
Always a pleasure, Bill.
And now, our Stewart Title business development people are top notch. We have a moment or two to talk to Hope Moy. Hope, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Bill. Good to see you today.
Well, here you are. Let's tell people the offices that you cover.
So I am in Montgomery County, and I office out of the Magnolia office and the Conroe office. Magnolia is off of 1488 and 2978, and Conroe is off of 336 and 105.
And of course, we hear not just on this show, but on previous shows about how busy and growing it is. It must be exciting to be part of that growth area of Houston.
Oh my gosh, it is insane. I don't know if you've watched any of my Facebook reels lately.
I watch every one.
I've been directing traffic in front of my Magnolia office, the construction.
That was a good one. You have the hard hat, the cones, and everything.
The whole hard hat and everything.
Well, people, they should follow you on the various platforms. How do they do that, Hope? Because you have informative and entertaining things.
So you can follow my personal page. It's Hope Moy. And I also have 2 Facebook pages for each office. So Stewart Title Magnolia and Stewart Title Conroe.
So people right now want to bring their contracts to you. What number should they call Hope Moy?
So you can call my cell at 346-224-1908. Again, it's 346-224-1908. I have some fantastic escrow officers in each of my offices that would love to work with you.
In fact, we all over Houston, we have fantastic escrow officers with longevity, with knowledge beyond compare. Hope, the phone number again is
346-224-1908.
Thank you, Hope.
Thank you, Bill.
And now, also leading the charge in a magnificent way, our business development officer from the Woodlands is Shelly Keller. Shelly, welcome to the show.
Hi, Bill. How are you?
Well, doing fantastic. And, of course, I forgot to say this. The Woodlands, the office, we may have mentioned it, but we moved our Woodlands office. Where is the Woodlands office right now?
We are currently located at 2445 Technology Forest Boulevard, Suite 200, and in the Woodlands, 77381. So we have a whole brand new building. We have way better parking, which is apparently a huge issue at our last building. And in my personal opinion, it also looked like you were stepping back in time. So now it's extremely updated. Everything's brand new. It's absolutely stunning, and it overlooks the water and Hughes Landing.
Well, of course, at Stewart Title, we are always looking for ways to improve the customer experience.
Yes.
And there you've done it in the Woodlands, doing tremendous work.
Yes. Our escrow officers and our team, they're doing a fantastic job. Our primary escrow officer, she's also the president of Stewart Title of Montgomery County. And then I've got another team all the way out in Willis, which, you know, everybody kind of seems to forget with everybody moving north that we do have that office. So just a reminder, my Willis team is more than happy to help you. Then they get probably the most problematic and the most tricky of the contracts, but they always figure it out and they always get us to the closing table.
Tremendous offices. I know the regular listeners both Willis, and the Woodlands. They're listening to the show all the time. So we say, great work, guys. And in the meantime, if someone wants to bring a contract or 2 or 3, what should they do, Shelley?
Definitely send it in an email. My email is Shelley, SHELLEY .Keller, KELLAR @stewart.com. Give me a call, 512-630-1196. Again, that's 512-630-1196.
Thank you, Shelley, for being with us.
Thanks, Bill.
They are back. Hudson Realty Partners, Ashley Gibson and Ryan Hudson. Hey, guys, welcome back.
You got it right that time, huh?
I always
professional?
try. I am. I
You
try
do
to be.
great.
Well, thank you so much.
You do
It's delightful. Your powers of perception, Ashley, are phenomenal. So before we close things down, Ashley, a final word.
All right, guys, if you're ready to purchase or lease commercial property, give me a call at 281-881-8959. Our website is hudsonrealtypartners.com, and you can reach us on any social media platforms. We actually have this little link in our bio that you can tap it, and you can magically get to one of us. So it's really cool. YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all Hudson Realty Partners.
Give us a quick motivational word. I don't know that it ever happens to you, Ashley, but in the event there's a day you wake up and you're just not into it, I'm tired, I don't know what, how do you get remotivated?
I just wake up motivated, man.
There you go. That's the word. Stay motivated.
But stay motivated. I think, just go outside and touch some grass.
That's a good word. In the meantime, Ryan, before we close things down, what else should we know? Ryan Hudson.
HudsonRealtyPartners.com. We are deal junkies. We would love to help you with your next assignment. Always be closing, and we look forward to hearing from you. 936-270-1024.
Your property.
Our priority.
Thank you guys so much. And now she's back, Amanda Wilkes, Survey One Inc. Hey, Amanda, final
Hi, Bill.
word. What's up? Let the surveys go forth, right?
Yes, everyone should get a new survey. So that way you are ensuring your property lines and not coming across any kind of problems. I highly recommend to get a new survey on every transaction. So that way, look at it as an insurance policy. You're insuring your property lines and your easements for your new home.
That's a good word. So if you're in a real estate transaction, get a new survey, remove the doubt, and call Survey One. Let's tell them the phone number again, Amanda.
You can reach me directly at 832-689-9669. 832-689-9669.
Survey One, and the website is?
survey1inc.com.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you, Bill.
They're back. Rick and Natasha, XAG. Hey, guys, a final word. Natasha Suri, XAG. What should we know? We're closing things down on the show here, Natasha. Final word.
I would love to be your realtor. All realtors are not created equally. I'm a business person turned commercial real estate agent because it comes naturally to me. And I just look at property like I would if it was for myself or for my business. So if you're looking to buy, sell, or lease, please let me know. I would love to be your agent.
And the phone number is?
281-546-7625. 281-546-7625.
And Rick, let's tell people how to reach you and also the company website, please.
Okay. My number is 832-435-4033, and the website is xaggroup.com.
Thank you guys so much. And thank you all for listening to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I am your host, Bill Knapik. That's right. Simply go to stewart.com/radio. Oh, yeah. You can hear and see the show again and access the show archives. That's right. Simply by going to stewart.com/radio. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.
When it comes to real estate, everything matters. Whether you're a broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, for informative and entertaining information when it comes to owning, buying, and selling real estate, tune in Sundays at 5 p.m. to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance.